Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. Taming the Ruthless Alpha. Last episode 8. Chapter 72. Livy, I love you, Livy. Thank you, Ricky says as he snuggles closer to me in bed, making me smile. For what? I reply, in a whisper tone as he begins to fall asleep. For making me the happiest guy in the world, he says as he sighs, burying his head on the curve of my neck and falling asleep. I can't help but smile as a tear falls from my eye. My hand rubs my stomach softly as my other hand wraps his arms. No. Thank you, Ricky. For saving me from I was in and giving me a better life story. And thank you, baby. I said, referring to my little pup. For coming into our lives and making it better than it already was. I promise I will protect and love you every day of our lives. I said as I felt more tears falling right before I gave in to sleep. I can already picture it. How I will hold my baby, and feed him or her. How I will look forward to him or her taking his or her first step, and I'll look forward to the baby's diapers, the changing of clothes, I can't even wait for the sleepless nights when my baby will keep me up after being fussy. I know those moments too well. Alpha Noah had me work the nursery back in my old pack so many times, and they would leave me all alone with all the babies to take care of. It was a bit frustrating, but satisfactory after seeing each one fall asleep so peacefully. I snuggle closer as my mind gets lost in thought, burying my head in his chest and chuckling as he snorts lightly. He only snores when he's had a really hard day, and my guess is today was one of those days. By the time I woke up the next morning, Ricky was already gone. He had left me a note letting me know he was on his way to the council and was probably going to be gone all afternoon. I sighed, grabbing the flower he left next to the note and bringing it to my nose. The sweet scent of him made me smile. I closed my eyes as it filled me with calmness. I rubbed my stomach, feeling the tiny butterfly of my movement stir inside me. Everyone in the pack by now knew I was expecting, and everywhere I went, I kept getting hugs from the ladies, and kids smiling, wanting to touch my stomach. But I couldn't help but feel like I was being watched all the time. It made me feel a little uncomfortable. Goddess, maybe I'm just being paranoid. I made my way into the kitchen to serve myself a croissant and a cup of tea. Good morning, Luna, the girls greeted me, making me smile. Morning, girls, I replied, smiling as I waved at them. Luna, did you find what you'll be having already? Is it a boy, a girl, or both? One of the younger girls asked with enthusiasm, making me chuckle. No, honey. Not yet. The baby is still too small, but, I have a feeling though. I say as I add a spoonful of raw honey to my teacup, stirring it slowly. Really? What do you think you will have? Her twin asks with a gleam in her eyes. I have a feeling it's going to be a boy, I say, making their eyes widen with joy. Oh, that is so cool. Our next alpha, one girl says to her twin, clapping her hands excitedly. Lydia, Liana, leave our Luna be. She needs to eat. Luna, please, let me prepare you some food. What will you like this morning? One of the older Omega asks, making me smile. No need, Margot and Molly are coming by to pick me up. We're going to eat at the new restaurant downtown. But you guys enjoy your morning breakfast, okay? Take it easy today. I say, sipping my tea and taking a bite of my croissant. Bye, Luna, they say as I walk out and take a seat on one of the window seats. Minutes later Margot joins me and we make our way out just in time as we see Molly pull up in her car. Hey, guys! Ready to go, she says with a big smile as she rolls the window down. Ready? Margot responds, opening the back door and sliding in, making me follow as I sit up front in the passenger's side. I can't wait to try the food in the new restaurant. I always hoped Mrs. Healy would open her own restaurant. She is such a good cook, she says smiling as she drives away. I am dying to try their new crepes with strawberries and Nutella. I'm going to ask for double whipped cream. Margot says, making us chuckle. Well, Ricky always loved her jumbo waffles. So I think I'm going with one of those. I might bring one back for him too. I said, already getting my mouth watery at the thought of the sweet and crispy waffles she expertly makes. We got there within a short time, and made our way inside, where we were seated quickly and ordered. I won't lie, it was the best waffle I had ever had. Crispy outside, fluffy inside, with the sweetest maple syrup and strawberry topping. The powdered sugar was the perfect ingredient to finish the perfection. So, Molly interrupts our silence as she clears her throat, putting her fork down and wiping her lips with a napkin. I have news, she says with a big smile. Margot and I looked at her smiling. Caden and I are having a baby, she said, making my eyes widen in shock. Really? I ask, with a smile from ear to ear. Yes. I'm 4 months pregnant. We just didn't know. My smell hasn't changed much. I have no symptoms, no morning sickness, nothing, she says, making my eyes widen in shock. Lucky, our Luna here has been nothing but moody broody here, she says, earning a playful slap from me on her shoulder and making Molly laugh. Wait, Molly says, putting a finger up. Does this mean that you're, she says, making her eyes as wide as saucers and making me chuckle. Yup. I'm only 3.5 weeks though. I add, and she loses it. She squeals, clapping with joy. I am so happy for you. For us. Oh, my goddess, this is amazing, she says as I smile, embracing the thought as she pulls me into a hug. I'm happy for the two of you. Margot says, hugging us as well. Third-person POV. Livy returned back home, and was surprised to see Ricky back home already. She was sure he would take longer, I mean he did mention in his note that he was going to speak with the work council. So, she figured he would be out all day. Hi, baby, she says with a smile as she sets down her bag with the waffle for Ricky. Hi, baby. How are my two most precious girls in the world, he says, sitting on the edge of the bed. Livy comes closer, welcoming the embrace of Ricky's arm as he places a kiss on her belly. Ricky wanted his heir, he knew it would be essential to have a boy first, but he wanted a little girl too. Just the thought of having a tiny princess call him daddy and seeing her run to his arms made him swell inside with pride and inexplicable emotions. Livy can't help but smile as she hugs him around his head and leaves a kiss on top of his head. Tired? Goddess, I don't know why I feel so worn out. It seems I get tired so easily now, she says, making him chuckle. You are working hard to nurture and protect our baby inside, love. You're bound to get tired more frequently, he sighs, yawning as he lays his head on her chest. I'm just glad you're home safe, he adds, making her nod. You didn't sleep much, did you? She asks him, smiling as he nods with his eyes closed, unwilling to let go of her. No. I was preoccupied with today's agenda, he says, making her eyebrows knit. Oh, why is that? She asks, concerned. We presented all the evidence against the Alphas and Noah. The council has asked us to be part of the community that will judge him. We have to go tomorrow morning again to look over all the evidence, plus the new ones that Madeline and a few other girls presented. We're trying to get as many witness testifications as possible so we can debate on his punishment, he says, making Livy feel bewildered. Oh, she whispers out. Don't worry about it, okay? We'll handle this case. One thing is for sure, I will be glad when all this is finally over, he says, making her look down at him. Black can sense your agitation, love. Remember, you're caring for our pup inside that tummy. You need to take it easy, don't worry about those scumbags, all right? He pulls away, grabbing Livy's hand and pulling her to sit on his lap. I know, I can't help it. What if there are more girls out there, waiting to be rescued? I fear that with Noah and the Alphas you guys captured, it will not be enough to stop all this corruption. Well, there is no doubt about it. But all for the same reason, the council has asked us to review everything along with the rest of the investigators. They want to make sure they haven't overlooked anything that can lead us to other potential threats or girls that could still be missing. We will save them, Livy. I might not be able to save them all, but I will try my best to save as many as I can, he tells her, looking at her with concern. Hunter stayed behind at the council's headquarters with Skyla and Zane. They will be back before dinner to tell me what they have found, he says, as he slowly cups Livy's cheek and places a kiss on her lips. I trust you will, and I know Hunter and you will make sure that many of these girls get to go home. Will you be busy with pack work today? She asks, pouting her lips. He can't help but chuckle, closing his eyes and placing his forehead against hers. I'm all yours for the rest of today, babes, he says, making her face light up with joy. The truth is, there was someone in the pack who did not belong there, and he had come to make sure Livy was well protected. Things were just too troublesome at the moment. They had to deal with Noah, Hector, and the other Alphas. Somehow they had to take care of the mess Leah had left behind and find all the missing girls that were still out there. Hunter may have come back thinking everything was okay back at the accident site, but something was off. Ricky could feel it, and when he was alerted by his warriors, that someone suspicious was lurking within their walls, he knew he had to do something about it. That someone was no threat to him or his warriors, they didn't even stand a chance with one of his female warriors, despite what their belief was. If he wanted, he could end them right in the moment he saw who it was, but Ricky would step back in amusement and see how far they dared go. He had the entire pack looking over their shoulders and make sure their Luna was well protected. They had lost their previous Luna before, he would not let that happen again. Not if he could do something about it. Oh, by the way. I brought you back a waffle from the new restaurant that opened up. Livy chimes, making Ricky light up. She goes to her vanity, picks up the container, and sprints back to Ricky, setting it in his hands. Oh my goodness, that looks so good, he says as he sees the jumbo waffle, decorated with strawberries and powdered sugar. I got your favorite, strawberry topping. I hope you like it. Do I? My goddess, baby, this is so good, he moans, muffling his words with his mouth full of waffles, making Livy chuckle. I knew you'd like it, she says smiling. Ricky couldn't help but worry either way. He needed to ensure the safety of his pack, and he had done an amazing job at it despite his doubts, but his main concern at the moment was Livy and the little bundle that would soon come. Joining the council team was a great idea and the means he needed to protect and save numerous people from the wrath of corrupt alphas. He never thought joining them a few months back when Caden came asking him for help would not only lead him to find his mate but even find Livy's dad and brother and make amends with none other than the Rogue King. He knew there was a long road ahead, but he was willing to do anything if it meant he could keep his Luna and unborn baby safe. A knock interrupts them, making Livy and Ricky turn to the door. Come in, Ricky replies. Alpha Alaric, Alpha Hunter, and Alpha Skyla are back. They would like a word with you, Zane says as he walks in with his hands fisted, making Livy unable to unsee. Great. Baby, I will be back, I promise. When I get back, maybe we can go and take a look at that baby store you've been wanting, he says, placing a kiss on her lips. I'd love that, Livy says, raising an eyebrow. He's hiding something, Freya says, in a curious tone. I know. And I think I have an idea about it. No worries, Desiree is already looking into it, Livy tells Freya, making Freya hum in curiosity. Ricky leaves with Zane, leaving Livy all alone in the room. She takes a seat at the edge of the bed, and sighs, closing her eyes. I'm going to take a nice bubble bath, she thinks to herself and stands, going over to start the tub, and filling it with water and soap. While she waits for it to fill, she changes out of her clothes and wraps her body in her bathrobe, waiting for the bath to finish filling. She goes to her caddy, opens the door to grab her mineral oils, and grabs one of them, opting out for the lavender and sage-scented oil. She's just about to turn when she feels a sharp pain in her neck. A sharp needle penetrates her skin, making her skin feel as if it was on fire. She falls, feeling her body give out, and turns her head. Her eyes widen in shock as she sees Leah standing before her. Leah, she whispers, making Leah's eyes fill with anger. Time to die, she says as she stands hovering over her. She was still tattered from the accident. Her clothes were dirty and torn, right by the area where the wood had penetrated her leg, and filled with blotches of dry blood. She wore a long coat over it, but Livy could still see the big gash where it was still healing. Her hair was a mess, with dirt, dry leaves, and tiny branches. Leah, no. My baby, she utters out as she feels the wolf's bane surge through her veins. Leah's eyes widen, right before she begins to smirk. She leans down and grabs Livy's face harshly. Don't worry, sweetie. I'll make sure to give Ricky an heir, just not yours, she says, tightening her grip on Livy's face. Help, she mind links before blacking out. Someone needed to come fast, or the tragedy from 18 years ago was bound to be repeated. Leah, I am so mad right now that I can tear Olivia apart just like I did with those stupid humans back there. But I have to be smart about it. None of this would have happened if it wasn't for her. I had a perfect life before she had to break the news of being the stupid Luna of the Dark Pack. I always dreamed of becoming a strong Luna. When I was small I had always admired Brandon, but I couldn't stand Olivia, she was so annoying, always around him. It was always my desire to spend time with him, but wherever he went Olivia was there. It was either her or Skyla around him. I was sure he would be my mate one day. I just knew it. Why did things have to end like this? Why? It isn't fair. I dragged Olivia out of her room and made sure not to be seen by anyone. Thanks to her, Skyla and Hunter found me. They stole everything from me. All my money, gone. All my jewelry, everything. I was so mad I wanted to cry again. She tipped them off, it had to be her. Who else would have figured out where I was headed? Why, are you so heavy? I said as I pulled on her legs. The accident was gruesome. I was so damaged that I lost my wolf. I was no longer as strong as I used to be. It was as if I had become a normal human. So weak. I hate it. I always hated humans for their weakness. I should have healed already. My leg is in so much pain, and my back feels like it has been crushed into a million pieces. Hence, the reason why it's taking me so long to drag Olivia. She weighs a freaking ton. I throw her down the steps, relishing in the sound of her body thudding over each step toward the cliff I am about to throw her body over. I'm so glad Ricky decided to build his room right by a cliff. It gives a great view, but it works for my benefit. She grunts, making me turn toward her. What the? She should be fully sedated, why is she grunting? I gave her 3 times the amount of wolfsbane a wolf could withstand. The amount her body received should have been enough to kill a male wolf, maybe even an alpha. I kicked her on her head, and I think it did the trick. She stops moving and grunting. It's now or never, Leah. If I can't have Skyla, if I can't have Hunter, then I will take Ricky. He's going to be mine, whether he wants to or not. I say as I get closer to the cliff, tugging on her leg as I pull her closer. Goddess, she is so heavy. Alaric, something felt off today. I had a gut feeling something wasn't right. Alpha, I lost track of her. We don't know where she went. My guard in charge of tracking down Leah's every step says in a mind link, making me growl. Find her. I roar, fisting my hands and clenching my jaw. She better not touch our mate, or I will kill her, Rick my wolf, Black demands, threatening to merge. I won't let her hurt Livy, Black. I promise. I said, standing up abruptly. Hunter, Skyla, and Zane look at me puzzled. Then I heard it, her fair T voice calling for help as Zane and I exchanged looks of horror. It takes us a millisecond before we dash out running. I storm back to the room with everyone behind my tail. Alpha, what's going on? One of my warriors yells, frantically running as we look for her. Livy. I yelled for him, searching every corner of our room to no avail. Live! I yell from the top of my lungs, ready to lose it. My heart is beating out of my chest. I'm scared things may go wrong. My wife and baby are at risk if Leah gets her hands on them. For her life's sake, she better not harm them. I can only hope nothing bad is happening. Back to Leah's POV, I wiped my tears away, sniffling, and took a deep sigh as I grabbed the knife I had in my back pocket. First, I'll chop off that stupid hair of yours I hate so much. The stupid nappy black hair of yours. I hate it. I said as I grip a handful of her hair and I was ready to chop it off with the knife. Leah! What are you doing? Are you insane? Evelyn calls out from behind me, startling me and making me jump in place. Evelyn! Leave! I demand, gesturing to her with the knife to leave. Leah, you are crazy. You can't do this. This is insane. Do you have any idea what the consequences will be if you kill Olivia? She says, making me scoff. Two women gasp, making me turn. See? You have an audience now. If you hurt Olivia, they will not stop until they hurt you too. Does it look like I care? I yelled at her, closing my eyes in frustration. She has always been so annoying, I can't stand her. Listen to yourself, Leah. You're being irrational. Think about what you're doing, please, she adds, making me grunt inwardly. Does she ever shut up? Think, Leah, think. I have to do this. It's the only way. No. Luna, another girl yells as she runs up the steps from my left side. More people are gathering, making me impatient. There's no turning back. Even if I have to kill them all, I will make sure Olivia never sees another day. Stay away. I grit my teeth as I see her trying to run toward Olivia, threatening her with my knife. I still smell like a wolf. They haven't noticed my wolf is gone, and that's a good thing. I feel a knot form in my throat as I mourn my wolf. She was the only true companion. No one understood me like my wolf. And now she's gone, forever. I feel a tear fall from my left eye, making me sniffle as I quickly wipe it off. Leah, please, this isn't going to end well. Please, let her go. It won't be long before Ricky gets here, and if he sees you with his mate, he's going to kill you. We both know it. Shut up, I said as my mind became fogged. I can't think straight. Too many thoughts are going through my mind. I can't go back to being a nobody. If it hadn't been for Skyla, I would have had the same fate as Olivia. His admiration for my beauty was what made me popular. Everyone wanted to be around me because he and I dated in school. But if not, I would have been nothing but an omega as well. I will not go back to that life, especially now that my wolf is gone. Livy, you act like you care for this. Since when have you ever cared for her, Evelyn? I started coming to. I had a terrible headache. I knew what was happening right away as I looked around slowly to not give myself up. I could hear the desperation and annoyance in Leah's voice. I don't, Evelyn says, shrugging her shoulders and lifting her hands in defense. She knew I was alert, and I nodded, letting her know to stay quiet. I care about you, Okay? You have never seen me as a friend, but I do. I don't want you getting hurt. Leah, I should have stopped you when you left. It wasn't right, you and I know it. Please, just put the knife down. You're stirring up the wrong pot here. The dark moon wolves are not to be reckoned with, and you know it. To everyone else, my body was still not in full view, they couldn't see I was conscious, not even Leah, since her back was toward me. I stayed down, acting as if I was still out cold. Ah. I hear a screeching scream coming from in front of us, making my head throb. I hear people running toward us. But my heart stops when I see Leah holding a knife and standing close to me, making me realize we are close to the edge of a cliff behind me. No. I whisper out, as I see the look of panic in Ricky's eyes. Leah, no. Please, don't hurt her. Evelyn says, pleading with Leah and making her growl loudly. Everyone stay back, she demands, threatening with the knife. I need to get away from the cliff before I get hurt, or worse. My baby could get hurt. She takes a few steps forward, and I bite my bottom lip in a bit of relief. I scooch without her noticing, and I'm holding on to a thick root coming from a mature tree to have more stability. Even if she tries to throw me right now, I can still hold on to the root, keeping me from falling. She is really pissing me off. I'm tired of being pushed around by her. I thought I made myself clear to her. Not the same weak omega she once thought I was. I am not weak anymore, and it's time she knew this. Alaric, I hate this. I hate having to not be able to do anything. I fear if I get too close, Leah can push Livy off the cliff. If Livy doesn't wake up or do something fast, I'm going to make sure Leah doesn't live another day. I can't do this. I take a step forward toward Leah, despite her protest to stay away, and walk slowly, trying to control my wolf. He's equally pissed off. Leah! I yell out, making her stumble as she gets startled. Ricky, she calls my name, making me growl in anger. What do you think you're doing with my wife? What did you do to her? I demand in my alpha tone. Now Ricky! I'm doing us a favor. You'll thank me later on, trust me. She's not the one you want, she says, making me growl. It's taking a lot in me to not finish her off now. Black growls. How would you know that? She's my mate, Leah. Like it or not? No. She's not the one you want, trust me. I'm way stronger, I'm smarter, prettier, she says as she begins to cry, her voice breaking. She is still hurting from one of her legs. That's probably the leg hunter said she had a big branch stuck inside her flesh. She's my mate, Leah. I roar, making her flinch. No, she sniffles, holding her knife up in front of her. Leah, put the knife down, Skyla says, making her look at him. Shut up, Sky. You traitor. You changed me for this stupid fate. You swore to love me forever, did you forget? She yells at him, pointing the knife at her. Leah, please, you don't want to do this, he adds, making her cry more. Why not? She is the reason my whole life got ruined. You and I had a perfect life together before she came back into our lives. It's her fault, she yells, pointing the knife at Livy, looking straight at Skyla. Leah put the knife down. Let's talk. Brandon says calmly, making Leah startle. Her expression softened. She looks so hurt, so torn. Brandon. Let's talk, calmly, okay? What you really want is me, not Livy. Right, he adds, walking calmly toward her, gesturing me to step back. Brandon, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. All ever wanted was you. I loved you. You were the only one I have ever loved. I prayed every night to our goddess to bring you back and make me your mate. I wanted you. No one else. I would even settle for being a mistress, as long as I was in your life, she mumbled through her tears as he got closer and closer. My eyes widen as I see my Livy stand up, as she watches Leah take a few more steps forward toward Brandon. Kay could tell Brandon and her were communicating. Her eyes were dark, and she looked so pissed. Brandon stops and holds his hands out for Leah as she begins to cry in sobs, putting her knife down to her side. Leah, you're a nice girl. Any guy would be lucky to have a beautiful mate like you. Except, he adds as he slowly takes the knife from Leah and throws it in the back of him. I could never for the life of me choose a mate so despicable, he says, making her eyes widen in shock. What? She asks with pain in her eyes. See, Leah, it doesn't matter how pretty you are. Because, you are beautiful, I'll give you that. And your body, it's ruined Abel. But, he says coldly, tilting his head. Even with your brains, which you say you have. Even with all your beauty, it doesn't take away the fact you're, he says coldly, trying to kill time. Livy is getting closer, and getting ready for her last revenge on Leah. Look around you, Leah, he says, gesturing to the multitude. You have amazing parents. They might be poor, and weak. Worthless omegas. As you say, they are good people, and very humble, and the nicest people I have ever met, he says, pointing to her parents who are crying and holding each other. Despite all of her doing, they still love her and have told me countless times they have hopes for her to make a turnaround. Look at all of your old friends, you were the one who turned your back on them, Leah. Not them, you. If you only learned the true meaning of friendship, the true meaning of love, then maybe, I could have considered you. At least. For my whore, he says coldly, making her fist her hands. That was cold, even for him. I hate you, Brandon. Ditto, sweetheart, he says, tilting his head and smacking his teeth. You are just as pathetic as your sister. You should have stayed dead, like your mother, she says, making him growl. He's ready to launch at her, but Livy stops him. No. This is my battle. I'm the one she came after, isn't it? Leah. Livy says as she walks toward Leah calmly, her eyes closed and poised. Leah's eyes widen like saucers, making her turn toward Livy. Didn't expect me to see me awake so soon, did you? Livy says, making everyone breathe out in relief. Baby, be careful. She's unpredictable. I mind linking her, making her give a small chuckle. I got this, babe. No one puts our baby in danger, she says, making me feel proud. Livy, you stole everything from me. Everything. Leah cried, furrowing her eyebrows as she looked at me with anger. If you hadn't meddled in my life from the start, I wouldn't be here like this. I lost my wolf because of you. You're the cause of all this. Brandon hates me, and it's all your fault. Leah cried, making me roll my eyes in annoyance. I already knew her wolf was gone, I sensed it the moment I came back to conscience. But I wanted to see how far she went with this. I am done. I'm done being her dirt rag. I am done being pushed around by her stupid friends, and Alpha Noah. I am tired of being used and abused. They have no power over me. Not any more. I chuckled, making her expression change from hurt to anger. She launched herself at me, but I moved out of the way, kicking her hard on her stomach, and smirked with pleasure as I saw her body crash against one of the raised beds growing my daisies. I heard a mixture of gasps and hoots. Get her, Luna, a young she-wolf says, making her mom give her a glare of disapproval. She groaned in pain, spitting out blood from her mouth as she held her stomach where I just kicked her. Do you remember, Leah? I said as I walked calmly toward her, looking at her as she tried to stand up, holding her stomach in pain. How you used to love beating the crap out of me. Sending your friends to beat me, making my life a living hell, day in, day out. Do you? I said as I gripped her hair tightly in my hand and pulled her up. I kneed her on her stomach and let go as she fell to the ground. You'd tell Alpha Noah I stole from you or disrespected you, did something to piss you off, and made him time and time again send me to the dungeons. Do you remember? I said, giving her my back as I tried to remain calm. I was too worked up. Too engrossed in my anger. I feared being down in those dungeons. Not eating for days at a time, not even a drop of water. Yet, you'd sneak in there and continue to beat me into a pulp. I said with a slight smirk to masquerade my pain. The memories were still fresh, and the wounds, though I no longer suffered that fate, it still hurt too much. It was never enough for you. You wanted me dead and killed you that Alpha Noah would demand you not to kill me. Little did you know, I had alpha blood, and even when I was weak, malnourished, and beaten, I healed. And that's what pissed you off. The fact I always made it out alive from those dungeons. Am I right? Leah. I said, turning and seeing her hunched over, gripping her stomach. What's wrong, Leah? Having a little trouble getting your wolf's aid to ease the pain? Oh wait, that's right. You have no wolf. Do you? I asked, tilting my head and making her angrier. People gasped, murmuring and talking among themselves. Freya couldn't sense her wolf, giving me confirmation that Leah's wolf was gone. Her eyes watered, making the tears fall freely at my words. Luna, someone began. I raised my hand, making them quiet. Except I am not you, Leah. You and I have never been the same. And we never will. You will have the privilege to live. I'm not going to kill you as you have adamantly tried to do with me. I said, and she tried to get up again, making me feel pity for her. I will let you live. But, you are now destined to live in my dungeon. I said, gritting my teeth and relishing seeing the look of horror in her eyes. You wanted to be part of my pack after all, didn't you? So now you have it. You will now be a permanent resident of my pack. Living your days in my dungeon until the day you rot. And will continue to live down there until your bones are nothing but dust. You will never see another daylight in your life or hurt anyone else the way you hurt me and tried to hurt my baby. I said, looking at her with anger. I came close to her, furrowing my eyebrows as Freya threatened to merge. No one, and I mean no one, puts my baby in danger. Especially some wolfless like you. I said, seething as I glared at her. Her body shook in anger, fisting her hands as she stood tall. I will get out one way or another, and when I do, she says, making me turn to her angrily. She launches at me again, and this time, I've had more than enough. I block her hand as she throws a punch and hit her hard on her jaw with my elbow, kick her on her stomach with my knee, and kick her again on her face as she goes down. Try me. And next time, I won't be so nice. If you ever get lucky enough to get out, believe me, I will be the first, and last thing you ever see. I say as she groans in pain on the ground. She groans, holding her stomach and slithering from one side to the other as the snake that she is. Lock her up in Section 4. And don't give her food until tomorrow. I said, walking away from her. I can hear her yelling all sorts of profanities and fighting with the guards as they apprehend her and take her away. I could have killed her and made her life a living hell by torturing her. But I am not her. I will not be as evil and sadistic as she was with me. She should feel lucky that I am letting her live. No one puts my baby's life in danger. No one. And because she dared to do so, I will make sure that she gets a reminder each day of who she dared to mess with. I am Olivia Donnelly, Luna of the Wolves of the Dark Moon. I will not only protect my pup, but I will protect every member of my pack from whoever I need to, including snakes like Leah and Noah. They don't know the real me, but they soon will find that messing with me was the worst decision they ever made. Livy, I walked past everyone. They all fell silent as they saw me passing. Maybe they thought I was going to kill her or tear her apart. After all, it's what she-wolves do. Right? We act on impulse, giving in to our primal ways when we're mad. Tearing each other apart and not giving a thought to what will happen next. Except I am not like any other wolf. I am a Luna, a leader of my pack, and I have many little eyes on me. Eyes that I see fit for great future leaders, not only in my pack but for the future of their families. I stand my ground. I will not be like her. I will not become a cold-hearted sadist, who gives in to anger, acting mercilessly as they might think. I will be a good, no, a great role model, and will teach my pup to do the same. He or she will grow up to be the best citizen and the best version of himself this pack has ever seen, and I will ensure that every pup born into this pack from henceforth does the same. We will be chain breakers, cutting the old bad habits and learning to protect each other the same way, Ricky has taught me. Being strong is more than learning to kick someone's ass. It's learning to control your anger and think with a clear mind. When Ricky first found me, I was nothing but a poor and weak Omega. I feared that there was no good in this world because I had been given nothing but torture and mistreatment. But, Being by his side, I was able to learn that there was still good in our world. I learned that some werewolves didn't live by their selfishness, that there was a pack willing to live past their selfishness and love each other, protect each other, and be there for one another. This pack has taught me what love and family mean, and I will not let anyone or anything hurt them. I will not allow Noah to keep tearing families apart, as he did to mine. And I will not let sleazy women like Leah come between fated mates, trying to come between them. Ricky holds his hands out for me, and I take them smiling at him. He pulls me into his arms, sighing deeply as he makes me crash against his chest. His heart is still beating quickly, making my heart swell for him. I hug him tightly, closing my eyes and resting my head on his chest. I thought I was going to lose you back there. I was so scared for you, baby. I was so ready to rip her apart. You have nothing to worry about, baby. I had the best teacher. He taught me well, you know. I say, lifting my head and smiling at him. He had tears threatening to fall, making me smile at him. You're unbelievable, you know that? I love you, he says, placing a kiss on my lips, earning a bigger smile from me. We hugged as everyone began to hug each other and give each other high fives. You are awesome, Luna. I kept getting compliments from younger teen wolves and kids, making me smile. Luna, you were really good back there. I don't know if I would have acted the same. You've impressed us with your big heart, one of the warrior girls says, making me smile at her as she takes my hands into hers. There are times to fight anger with anger, and there are other situations where it is better to fight bad with kindness. I know Leah deserved to die. The rules strictly imply that any threat to the Luna is punishable by immediate death, but our Luna is not like every other Luna. No, Ricky responds, making me look at him in admiration. Our Luna is one of a kind. She's far better than the rest and with a bigger heart than most, he says, wrapping me in his arms by the waist. Yes, she is, many said as they began to go back to their daily routines. Even I'm surprised. I was sure you'd rip her head off. I'm pretty impressed too, sis, my brother, Brandon says, making me turn with a smile. He walked with a smile next to Dad, making my eyes water. I couldn't help but let the tears fall as I went and hugged my dad. Daddy! Oh, that's my girl. I'm just glad you're okay. I was so scared, he says as he begins to break down. I thought I was going to lose you again, he says as he lowers his head, whipping away his tears. Oh, Daddy! I can assure you, sir. I would not let that happen. I'd finish Leah before she could hurt my Livy. Ricky says, making my dad smile at him, extending his hand out to him. Ricky and him shake hands firmly, but Dad refuses to let go of Ricky's hand as he pulls him into a hug, making Ricky chuckle. My eyes widen in surprise as I feel my little butterfly stir my stomach, making me aware my little pup is already alert and moving about. I know it's too early to know what we're having, and a part of me wants to know, yet another part of me wants to keep it a surprise. I guess, we'll just have to wait and see. But for now, I'm just glad we have Leah out of the way. As the days went by, I went about my normal routine, helping out in any way possible. Only I was banned from practicing with everyone until I gave birth. My cravings just kept getting weirder and weirder. Ricky got off the bed, putting his sweatpants and slippers on as he paced back and forth looking around, tossing a pillow and then another. "Where is it?" he says, making me giggle. "What are you looking for, babe?" I asked, making him look up my shirt. He said as he looked at me, realizing I was wearing his t-shirt and chuckling. "You mean this shirt?" I say, pointing to myself. "It looks better on you if you ask me," he says, pulling me by my waist and sliding his hands seductively down my butt. "Does it now?" I ask teasingly, running my hands softly up his chest. "Oh, yes," he says in a husky tone, squeezing my butt and making me squeal. He kissed me, making me feel like I was melting. It did not matter if we had been together for a while now, I still felt the butterflies in my stomach every time he kissed me passionately. The sparks in my body with his tender touch still made me shiver and made my heart feel content. But what I loved the most is he has taught me to be a better person. To strive for what matters, for what is right. Not all alphas that look fierce and deadly are a menace. They are still kind-hearted men and will go far and beyond their measures to protect their pack and the people they love. To many, Ricky is a strong deadly alpha who will break you and end your life if you dare touch anyone in his pack, and yes, he is. He's short-tempered at times and doesn't take lightly when someone tries to cross him. But to me, he's my Ricky. My loving husband who I would do anything to protect, and I know he would do the same for me. "Now, are you sure you want sticky rice with what?" he asks, looking at me weirded out. I chuckled, biting my bottom lip as I placed a feather-like kiss on his lips. "Sticky rice and mango. They sell it at the new pho shop down by 8th Street. Oh, and can you go and get me a waffle with strawberries and extra powdered sugar?" he finishes for me, making me chuckle. "Yes, please." "Anything else, my queen?" he asks, chuckling. "Not at the moment. I'll call you or mind link you if I change my mind," I say, making him chuckle. He put on a different t-shirt, grabbed his keys, and went off. Today, I was ordered to stay home and in my room, because I have been doing things non-stop. So, our pack's doctors demanded Ricky to keep me in my room to rest for the next 2 days. I laid back in bed, decided to watch a little TV, and waited for Ricky to come back. When he returned, he came back with loads of bags, making me chuckle. "Okay, so, the pack doctors warned everyone in the pack not to bother you. And as a result, all the ladies decided it was a good idea to prepare food for you. So," he says as he sets the bags down and moves the small vase with flowers on the coffee table, putting the bags down, and begins to take food containers out. "We have nachos with the works. I think Mrs. Ken said this was Mediterranean food," he says, squinting an eye. The food looked so delicious, making my mouth water instantly. I gasped, opening another food tray and seeing Mexican food. "Oh, my goddess, Ricky," I said, making him lift his hand. I gripped the tiny street taco in hand, taking a big bite and moaning as the flavors exploded in my mouth. "Oh my goddess, this is so good!" I muffled out, making him pout. "That was my food," he says, pouting, making me giggle. "I'll share," I said, lifting the tray toward him and changing his pout to a big smile. We sat in bed the rest of the day eating everything and watching movies until the sun went down. I settled into his arms, falling asleep with a smile. I've never felt so happy. I had a loving mate, a beautiful pack I call family, my brother and dad back, and a pup on the way. What else could I ask for? I was sound asleep when I felt Ricky slowly trail his hand up my thigh, making me sigh. I smiled, turning on my back as he slowly kissed me, taking his time as he took my clothes off and made love to me. Third-person POV. The day came when Noah and the alphas in question were going to face the werewolf elders and the King's Council. And Livy was not going to stand back and do nothing. She was prepared with a little surprise for them. A surprise that even Ricky, Hunter, and her brother were not ready for. Thanks to her new title of Luna and a great amount of help from other Lunas, she managed to do her own collection of evidence and testimonies. But first, she walked delicately down the stairs to the dungeons down to Section 4, the last cell down the hallway. She held a plate of food in one hand and a glass of water in the other. "Good morning, Luna." The guards greeted her with a smile as they opened the door for her to continue walking past the hallway. "Good morning. Did you guys have breakfast already?" she asks with a warm smile. "Yes, Luna. Thank you for asking." "Good. Good. Open the door, please." She demands them, making them look at each other with concern. Leah sat with her head down, and hands prompt on top of her knees. Her hair was a mess and her clothes were dirty. She had torn apart the blankets and taken off her shoes, throwing them at one of the guards days ago. To keep her from harming herself and the guards, Ricky had demanded she be left without shoes. "It's okay. I got it under control," Livy says, smiling at them. They were skeptical, but they followed her instructions and kept a close eye on her to make sure Leah would not hurt her. "Thanks, guys," she says as she walks past them and places the plate and water on the floor since Leah had torn apart the small table inside her cell. "Good morning, Leah," Livy says in a warm voice, smiling at Leah. Leah brushes her leg closer to her body, turning closer toward the wall. "What do you want, Olivia?" "Just brought you food and water. Today is the trial for the alphas. But no thanks to you for trying to steal all the evidence Skyla had gathered through his mom," Livy says, making Leah growl. Now. This is all your fault, Leah. You are in these walls because of your own doing. Be glad I even bother bringing you food. You never cared to do the same for me. Remember?" Livy says, tilting her head to the side. "Leave me alone, Olivia. The last I want is to see your stupid face. I don't need you coming down here for every freaking meal. I rather starve than eat your food," she says, making Livy chuckle. "Afraid I'll poison you? I'm not you, Leah. Unlike you. I have a heart." Leah was ready to attack Livy again, but the guards were quick to stop her. "Eat your food, Leah. There is no point in punishing yourself more. Let us do the punishing for you, will you?" Livy says teasingly. As always, Leah and Livy exchanged words, bickering for a while before Livy left. Her pregnancy was making her soft, making sure that Leah had warm food and was warm at night when sleeping. But Leah was not budging. She refused any help, raging in anger every time she saw Livy come back with new blankets and warm food. There was no use. She knew she would be here for the rest of her life, and if she had to just die, then she'd try and speed the process. But the hunger was getting to her, making her feel vulnerable and weak. Livy left and waited for Ricky to join her as they drove to the council's building. Every alpha in question was seated to stand trial together, all smugged with a wicked smiles on their face. They were sure that the evidence Ricky, Caden, and Hunter had submitted would not be enough to prosecute all the alphas. Maybe Noah and Hector would rot in jail, but most were sure they'd walk free after this trial, giving them a chance to lay low for a while before going back to their business of corruption and selling off rogue girls to other alphas. Each one pleaded not guilty, looking at the elders and the king with a smile, head held high and chest out with pride. They smiled, giving threatening glares at the girls who were going up on the stand one by one to give their testimony before the king. Then, it was Noah's turn, and one girl after another gave a gruesomely detailed description of the torture and mistreatment they had suffered at his hands. He forced them to submission and sold them to other alphas to be their slaves, trafficking the girls into a life of slavery. The king only became angrier, giving daggers at the alphas in question. The trial had taken hours and yet, there was no result. The king closed his eyes, pinching the curve of his nose in frustration. I think we are due for a break. We've been here nearly 5 hours. Take them away. We'll have an hour recess, the king says, gesturing to his men to take all the alphas away. Baby, you don't need to be here. I think it's fair to say these guys will be going into the king's dungeon for a long time. It doesn't look good for them, even if they like to think otherwise. We're done. We won, Livy. These girls are finally free. Ricky says, holding my hand comfortingly. I know. But I want to be here. Besides, we still have a few more girls to talk to. And I want to talk too. I need to give my statement too, Ricky. And besides, there are 2 more witnesses to go on the stand that haven't arrived. I say, making him look at me puzzled. No. I think we went through every girl we had, baby. Not all. I saw you brought 5 of the girls I had mentioned to you. But there are 2 more that need to go up. I just got a text from one of them about a half hour ago. They should be here by the time we go back inside. I say, making him look at me confused. But, are you sure? Who are they? He asks, making me chuckle. I looked at Hunter, who was talking away with Caden and Molly, as my brother and dad stood next to them smiling. I know Hunter and Ricky had a friend back when they were kids. She disappeared out of nowhere without a trace. Her dad was part of the trial. He was the beta to his pack, but the money and power he was given by his alpha was not enough. He was filled with greed. When his wife found he had impregnated someone else, she was over the top angry. But he forced him to steal the little girl away from her mother and gave her a life of revenge for his infidelity, allowing the older step-brother and step-sister to bully her. That went on until the day her step-brother tried to attack her in hopes to kill her, ending in hurting Kayla. I was so mad when I heard about this. The poor girl had been collateral damage, and had difficulty walking for a while from damaged discs on her back. Hunter never knew why she disappeared, nor did Ricky, but today, they will know the truth. I was craving Chinese badly, so we all decided to go for Chinese. Molly was almost due, and she did not hold back in her cravings, smothering all of her food with teriyaki sauce and sriracha. I won't lie, my mouth watered too, but too much spicy gave me major heartburn. Once we ate, we came back to the building where they were holding the trial and we walked inside and went back to our seats. The trial returned to section, but my girls were nowhere in sight. I grabbed my phone and asked where they were. If they didn't arrive soon, the two men would not get all the time they deserved. It was my turn to stand. I quickly sent my message and walked to the stand. Question after question, I gave specific details of how Noah had tortured and mistreated me, how I saw all those times of him and Gunter forcing themselves on countless girls. I told them of all the times he would let other alphas come into our pack and do the same to the girls he held captive. He used them until most were close to death, then sent Gunter to get rid of them. I couldn't help but cry as I reminisced on those days and those girls that I so badly wished I could help. And why didn't he ever let those alphas touch you? What made things different for you? One of the king's advocates asked, making Ricky growl. I'm not sure. I guess, maybe he felt a little guilty. I said, making him look at me thoughtfully. He touched his chin and then wrote more notes down on his papers. My mother was his destined mate, but he rejected her, I said, getting cut off by the council member. Why did he reject her? He asked, making me pause as I looked at him irritatedly. Because she was an Omega. He saw her as weak and useless. I said, shooting daggers Noah's way. So who is your father? Alpha Noah, or, no. My father is the rightful Alpha. He's always been the rightful Alpha of the Silver Moon Pack. When my father, the rightful Alpha? I said assuringly, making Noah tense. By now, everyone knew he had stolen the pack from my dad and tried to kill him, not once, but twice. Of our pack, found that he was destined to my mother as her second chance mate, he was over the moon. He had been waiting for a mate for over a few years. He loved my mother from day one and never mistreated her. But things changed between Noah and my father. I said, recalling what I had found out. As I was almost done with my testimony, I saw them, the girls I had been waiting for. My face lit a little, whipping my tears away as I stood tall. Anything else we can add to all this? Anyone else that we haven't heard from? The king asks as the girls walk inside, making Ricky, my brother and Hunter who had been staring at me and consoling his sister turn quickly, feeling the cold gust of wind from their fast pace. It was as if something inside my brother had sensed her presence. He was shocked as she walked inside the room with her head held high and fingers interlaced mim in front of her. My dear, who might you be? The king asked with a warm smile, seeing her delicate features and timid appearance. My name is Isabella Swan. I am the daughter of Amador Swan. The Alpha of the Blue Lagoon Pack, she says, unable to look up. My brother Brandon was about to stand, making me look at him puzzled. Then he utters out the words at the same time as she sniffles and looks back at him. Mine, he growls, making everyone's eyes widen in shock. My brother, out of all the places, had found his mate here, in the trials to imprison all these miserable alphas. And who is this young lady with you? The king asks, gesturing to the smaller girl next to her. This is Kayla. My little sister. Step, sister, a young guy says amid all the apprehended alphas. Step sister, the king asks. Technically yes. But to me, she's my sister, she replies, making him smile. Alpha Taylor Swan. Is he your brother in question? The king asks, making Isabella turn toward the younger Alpha, making him grit his teeth, and giving her a deadly stare. Why, yes, she says, feeling fear for her and her sister. There was too much she was hurting, too much she was hiding, and sadly, she had a long hard life of recovery ahead of her. But if my brother was her mate, I have no doubt he would protect her. She was in good hands now. If she accepted him. Livy, I stepped down, holding the hand of the king's guard as I went down the steps and made my way to Isabella and Kayla. I embraced both, giving them a tight squeeze. Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure you'd make it, I said in a low voice, smiling as I pulled away and held her by her shoulders. She smiled slightly, nodding as a tear dropped down her tinted cheek. I had to. My father and Taylor need to be stopped. No one deserves to be treated the way they treated Kayla and me, and if it means speaking against my own father and brother, then so be it, she says, nodding as the tears continue to fall. Who? Who is he? She asked, glancing at my brother. Oh, you mean your mate? That would be my brother, Brandon, I said, making her eyes widen in surprise. The King's Council member cleared his throat audibly to get our attention. Might we continue, my ladies, he says, making us turn toward him. We'll catch up after. Be brave, both of you, okay? I said as I held Kayla and squeezed her hand. I went and sat next to Ricky and my brother. My brother was trying to contain himself from going over and claiming Isabella, or Ella, as Kayla likes to call her. I squeezed his hand, smiling at him when I noticed him struggling to keep his wolf under control. Relax, brother. She's safe, okay? You can talk to her as soon as we are out of here. Just have patience. I mind-linked him, making him calm. He sighed, closing his eyes as he slowly relaxed. But the more he heard all of the torture and mistreatment she had suffered at the hands of her brother, the more Brandon became angrier. He fisted his hands, closed his eyes, and growled slowly as he and his wolf tried their best to control their anger. We must have been there all day. By the time we realized, the sun had gone down, we were given another break to have dinner and ordered to go home. We would have to go back to the next morning. I couldn't help but ask Ella and Kayla to join us for dinner at our pack. My brother sat quietly by her side, unable to say a word to her. She was so shy, and for the first time, he was too. I had never in this whole time I've had him back seen him be so shy to talk to a girl as he is with Ella. So, dinner. Would you like to have dinner with us at our table? He finally asks, making her face tint red. Yes, she replies, making me smile at the sight. They were so adorable. He takes her hand and pulls her slowly against him. The instant sparks must have engulfed them by their surprised looks. I still remember the first time Ricky made me feel those sparks. It was an unforgettable moment. We should give them some privacy to talk, don't you agree, love? Ricky says as he hugs me from behind and kisses my mark. Hi, you must be Kayla, right? Would you like to join us for dinner? We're watching a movie after, you can come and hang out. Some of our teen girls asked Kayla, making her seem shy. She lowered her head and took a step back looking at me. I nodded, smiling, making her feel a bit at ease. She smiles and nods shyly. Great! Come on! You can sleep in our room if you like. We have bunk beds. Are you going to stay here for a while? The Shepherd twins ask as they loop their arms around hers and pull her away, making Ricky and I chuckle. You are in good hands, Kayla. Go have some fun. Girls, please, take care of Kayla, okay? I said as she looked back worriedly. Yes, Luna, they say in unison, making me chuckle. You are going to love it here. We're getting close to a low season, but don't worry, if you want we can take you shopping for warmer clothes. Then we can go skiing. Oh, I love to ski. Remember last year when Zane did the big flip that only our alpha was able to perform down the big slope? Another girl says, making me lift an eyebrow and glance in surprise at Ricky. Really? You know how to ski? A little. I'll teach you. But, once the baby is born and you've recovered. Okay, he says, rubbing the back of his head and smiling. So, my husband has a bit of a wild fun side too and not all professional, hey? I like that. I like that a lot. I say, wrapping my hands around his waist and smiling, making him chuckle. Of course I'm fun. I'm the king of fun, he says, making me throw my head back and laugh. We had a quiet dinner and went to bed. But I'll be honest, the tension of the verdict decision tomorrow morning was getting to me. I tossed and turned the whole time, unable to sleep. Before I knew it, it was morning and we were back on the road. I wasn't even able to keep my breakfast down this morning, I was so tense. On the bright side, I have a new sister-in-law. Mated and marked, Ella joined us this morning holding my brother's hand with a smile. We went back to the King's Court and began to take a seat. As the council began to murmur amongst themselves, the alphas in question began to be seated. Ella sat by my brother's side, holding his hand as he felt her tense when her brother came out. You whore! I knew you were a disgrace to our family. You just met this dude last night and already you let him trap you. You're a tramp! His brother screamed at her as he passed by her and noticed she had been marked. He had chains around his waist and hands, but still, he tried to launch himself at her, making my brother stand up. Brandon gripped him by the throat, making Taylor's eyes bulge in shock. His eyes lowered to Brandon's neck and realized who he stood before. You! Why, you're the Rogue King! Don't kill me, I'm sorry! Taylor stuttered out in fear as my brother's eyes darkened and squeezed tighter around Taylor's throat, making him choke. Enough! Guards, get this man to his place! Brandon, may I remind you of our deals? You are here to help the case, not worsen it. Tyler, the beta of the Primords pack, says as he stands and slams his hand on the top. Brandon was adamant to let go. I was sure he was going to be one of those possessive mates with Ella. But if you ask me, that's exactly what she needed. Someone to be there and protect her with nails and bare teeth. Now, Brandon. Let go. My dad says as he struggles to stand, demanding Brandon in his alpha tone. Taylor was choking, his eyes going to the back of his head as my brother squeezed harder. He growled menacingly and his eyes darkened as the veins in his neck engorged, until Ella stood up, and placed her hands on Brandon delicately, making him come into reason. Please, Brandon. Let him go. He's not worth our time. Ella says in a timid voice, looking at Brandon worriedly. Brandon's face softened, and his eyes normalized as he let go of Taylor harshly, pushing him against the guard behind him and making them stumble. Taylor couldn't help but cough as he struggled to breathe. The king made his way to the middle of the council's table, and hushed everyone, making us settle down. Are we ready to read the results of our verdict? He asks, making them nod in unison. Very well. I will begin, he says, waving off Taylor and demanding the guard to sit him. One by one, the alphas were given their verdict. They were all guilty. And each was stripped of their title. The betas were stripped, and each of the members who were deeply involved with the cases was stripped of their title. To my surprise, there were even a few female werewolves involved. And yes, they were stripped of their titles and privileges as well. Their families were in question. If they were found innocent, they would remain unharmed, but if they found they were involved, they would be stripped of their titles, authority, and benefits as well. The girls cheered and cried, hugging each other as one alpha after another was found guilty of all charges. Some alphas were given years in the king's dungeon, others were given life sentences, yet others who had done gruesome and were found with countless accusations were given death sentences. When it was Hector and Noah's turn, everyone fell silent as they were two of the three heads of the whole operation. Skyla and his mom dropped their heads as he and Hector were found guilty and were sent to spend the rest of their lives in the king's dungeon. I can't say that I didn't foresee this. It's the least they deserve if you ask me. All the packs that were stripped of their alpha will be under the king's care, effective immediately, or until a new alpha is assigned to them, the council announced, making everyone in the audience murmur and look at each other worriedly. Now, if there is no further discussion, I call this meeting to an end, the king added, unfolding his legs and standing up. I felt a rush of relief surge through me. I couldn't help but cry as I saw the girls hugging each other, rejoicing at the council and king's decision. The girls were so happy that they cried, making me want to cry. I was crying. I was sobbing, and sighing as they overjoyed in the final justice. Justice had finally taken the right path, and the alphas that had once thought were unstoppable and invisible, were going to spend the rest of their lives behind bars. We did it, Livy. We finally put these scumbags behind bars. They'll never hurt another girl ever again. Indeed. They will never hurt these girls ever again, babe. I said, smiling as we stepped out of the court and I wrapped my arms around Ricky. I sighed, not just because I was happy, but because I finally felt a huge weight off my shoulders. But the question still lingered in the air. Where would all these girls go? Would my brother keep protecting them? Or would they be sent back to their packs? I feared that they would be mistreated again, or seen as the culprits for the loss of their alphas. Only time will tell. But I hoped that things would be a smooth sail from now on. Livy. Over the next few days, Hunter and Caden had stayed to sleep in our pack, making me smile as I would wake up each day and see all the boys together, enjoying their company and eating breakfast together. Despite their responsibilities and all the pressure they have to live by, they are all still big goofballs. I love seeing their interactions and how they mess around with one another, pranking each other and being so silly. Deep down, they are like any other young adult, still experiencing, still learning, but with loads of responsibility on their shoulders. They would goof around during practice, putting traps so one of them would fall and laugh hard when the trap was followed through with perfection. Needless to say, the ones that fell for most traps were Caden and Hunter. I laughed so hard, my cheeks hurt. Skyla was changing. He was no longer the stuck-up, immature that once rejected me. I was happy to see how he was growing, maturing, and finally being a man. He treated Madeline, his new mate, with the love and respect she deserved. He was spending a lot of time with my brother, while the contractors finished rebuilding his territory. But his main reason for following Brandon around was because he was trying to convince Brandon to take over the pack. He was going to have to step down as the alpha anyway. He had been ordered by the council to return the pack back to my family. But, my brother, being the stubborn hothead that he is, was reluctant. He didn't want to leave his people or his territory. He'd worked hard for the land he had proudly bought with his hard-earned money. Being a rogue was no excuse for him to work hard and strive. But, since the territory he bought was close to the Silver Moon Pack, Ricky had the idea of offering Brandon help in buying the land in between the Silver Moon and his to expand their territory. Brandon wanted to keep a close eye on Noah, and what better way than to hide in plain sight? Noah never knew how close he was. He never had a clue. Plus, the road to get to his pack was way on the other side of the mountain because of restrictions. If Brandon accepted Ricky's help, he could build a new pathway or a road to join both territories. He could finally build better homes for his people and not hide under tents to stay hidden. All we had to do was convince him to take Ricky's help. On the other hand, Brandon was over the moon with Ella. And he was being so respectful and caring with Ella's little sister, Kayla. He went as far as making a special dinner for them one night, where he asked Kayla for permission to be with Ella and made Kayla a promise that he would always be there for the two of them, no matter what. Ella's dad was not found culprit of any of her stepbrother's deeds. So she still feared that he could come after her or Kayla in retaliation for her stepbrother's incarceration. But my brother was a wise and powerful man who many have learned not to cross. We'll just have to keep an eye out for Alpha Swan either way. Oh, and the last I heard from Ricky, all the alphas that were taken into custody under the king were already begging for their lives as they were treated with the same disrespect and horrors they had treated all the female werewolves. The king took no mercy on them, making sure that every one of those alphas spent the rest of their days regretting everything they ever did. Especially when he found out that they had enslaved young werewolves, making them work like dogs. The king was infuriated when he learned one of his faraway nephews had suffered at the hands of one of these alphas. He was enslaved for nearly 6 months, mistreated, beaten, and starved. Needless to say, that alpha was having it worse than the rest. Lucian Danelli, my dear father-in-law, has been going out most nights. He's close to the king, so he has been going often to visit him, and helping him keep order in the dungeons. My father-in-law has been retired since Ricky took over. But he can still throw a mean punch if needed. As for me, I am very much content. Taking care of my Luna duties and helping out my pack members has never been so easy and satisfactory. They have been the best family I could ever have, and I know my baby will love it here when our moon goddess finally allows me to give birth. He or she will be loved, cared for, and pampered by everyone. I chuckled as I sat at the edge of a comfy chair, holding a hot cocoa with a warm blanket over my feet across the finish line of the training session. Ricky was running with a big smile as he emerged from the forest where we trained, first in line as always. I chuckled uncontrollably as I saw what he was walking into. It has been difficult for the boys to make him fall for any of their traps. He runs, sprinting comfortably toward me as I cover my mouth as I am unable to control my laughter. My brother, Caden, Hunter, and Zane rush out of nowhere toward him, holding paintball guns and hitting him with shots all over his body. Ricky is taken off guard and tries to cover up but to no avail. He is covered head to toe with colorful shots all over his body within seconds, making me laugh so hard my stomach hurts. He finally gets a hold of Caden's gun and begins to shoot back, hitting them back with all the colorful shots. I couldn't help but hold my stomach as I continued to laugh so hard I nearly spilled my hot chocolate. It was a sight to see. I love watching them being kids. Even if it's for a short while before we all have to go back on duty and responsibilities. Third-person POV Lucian, being a close friend of the king, decides to pay a little visit every night to the king's dungeon. A cell in particular has become one of his favorites. Noah's cell, to be exact. He walks swiftly to his cell, making sure to not lose control over his wolf who is ready for the taste of tonight's blood. He wraps his gloves over his hands, tightening the Velcro strap tight and wiggling his fingers to ensure a good grip. Alpha Lucian. Good evening, sir. The guard greets him, lowering his head respectfully as he opens the gate and stands to the side, to allow Lucian to step inside the next security checkpoint. Good evening. Is the king joining us tonight? He asks, stopping in his tracks and turning to face the guard as he fixes the other glove on his hand. No, sir. The king will be out for the night. He is visiting a friend you both have in common in the Northeastern Territories, sir. He asked that you forgive him for leaving early and requested that you travel with him tomorrow if you are able to. The plane is ready at your disposal, the guard says, not lifting his head in respect to Lucian. Very well. You may close the gate. I won't be long. Lucian replies, turning on his heel and walking at a steady pace. Another guard opens the silver door to Noah's cell, making Noah's goal in anger. You again, have you not had enough? How much longer must you torture me? Noah says as he sits in a corner, cowering away as he sees the guard closing the door behind Lucian. Until I am sure that my beatings have engraved in your head that you never, he says as he grabs Noah and begins to throw punches at his face. To never, he says as he throws another punch. Touch, another punch, filling him with a bit of satisfaction as he heard the cracking of his jaw. Adenly. Ever. Again. Lucian says as he gives a menacing growl, making Noah grunt from the pain. You messed with the wrong pack, boy. You never touch a Danily. Understood, he finally says after he has had enough of beating Noah into a pulp. Lucian's voice is staggered. He took his frustration out on Noah more than most nights. He lets go of Noah, letting his unconscious body fall with a thud. "Loser," he says as he fixes his coat, runs his fingers through his hair to comb it back into place, and unwraps the velcro around his gloves, taking them off and wiggling his fingers to ease the pressure. He taps the door, and the guard opens it, whistling as he sees Lucian's work on Noah. "You got him good tonight, sir," the guard says, making Lucian give a simple grunt. "Just a little. He'll have a few days without seeing me. I just wanted to say bye before I take off with your boss for a few days." Lucian replies, making the guard chuckle. "Make sure he gets a good meal in the morning. He'll need it to recover for when I get back," Lucia says as he walks away without looking back at the guard. "Yes, sir," the guard replies, closing the door to Noah's cell and standing back on his post. Livy, I walked toward the library, wanting to return a few books I had just finished reading. I couldn't help but smile as I walked inside and saw my brother sitting down reading a book. He was so entranced that he didn't realize I stood next to him, admiring his complexion. He still puckered his lips and furrowed his eyebrows like he used to as a kid when he was focused on what he was doing. I chuckled, making him turn toward me. "Hey, sis. When did you get here? I didn't hear you walk in," he asks, making me roll my eyes as I smile foolishly. I kissed his cheek and sat next to him. "Just now." "What are you reading?" I asked, making him clear his throat as he looked at the back of the book and showed me the cover. Pound the Stone, by Joshua Medcalf, I said, feeling proud. "Good choice," I added, making him chuckle. "So you've read it?" "I have. A few times. And if you ask me, you resonate quite more than I do to Jason," I said, making him laugh as I compared him with the protagonist. My brother, just like that book, knew quite well to be resilient and brave and overpower his fear. "So, hey, Ella was telling me that you refused to take over Silver Moon," I asked as I placed my hand over his, making him clear his throat. "I did," he said, making me sigh. "But, why? I thought this was what you wanted." "You've been fighting to regain the pack." "I did, but, I don't know. I thought maybe getting rid of Noah and regaining the pack would make me feel better, but I'm not so sure now. Dad is still strong. He deserves to take over, not me. Besides, I have members in my own group to take care of." "What about Ricky's offer?" "No. Liv. I appreciate the help, but letting us stay here for the meantime is help enough." "Brandon. We are not doing it to make you feel less. We want what is best for you and your pack. For Silver Moon Pack. Don't you think joining them would make the two better?" I asked, pursing my eyebrows in hopes that he understood my concern. "How? They can't stand rogues." "No one can. We are misunderstood. They see us as feral, savages. I get that many turn primal and go about causing harm to others, but we are not all the same. I have fought hard to get all of those members out of danger and keep them safe. As any alpha would. But the fact is, Skyla has been asked to step down. He is supposed to be your best, but as you can tell, he might be taking over Maddie's pack." "Brandon, Silver Moon might not be as protected as they should if you don't become their alpha. Dad is strong. I get it. I believe it. But for how long? He's still recovering from his injuries. They need you. A good leader, a strong leader. If you and Dad don't take the position, they could appoint any random alpha who could go the same path as Noah. I said, making him sigh as he bit the side of his bottom lip and looked down in thought. I guess I never thought of it that way. I need to think about it. If you don't mind, sis, I'm going to go for a walk. You should go and rest, that pup is going to take a lot out of you, he says, tapping my nose with his finger playfully, making me laugh. I suppose you're right. Take care, I'll see you and Ella for dinner. I say as he stands up and kisses my cheek. Will do, little sis, he adds before he taps the book over his hand and walks away. Months later, as the days went by and everything settled back into a comfortable pace, Ricky and I were kept busy. The days turned colder, and soon the first signs of winter came, covering the grounds with a thick white blanket of snow and making the days shorter, and nights longer. At night, I adored seeing the northern lights paint the skies. I wasn't allowed to do much labor around, other than paperwork. But I was content. Eventually, after many meetings and arguments, mainly from my brother, Skyla was asked to officially step down from being the alpha of the Silver Moon Pack, and my brother, Brandon, was asked to step up once again. More like, they were trying to force him, or as I had told them, they would entrust a new alpha because my dad was not going to take over. Brandon, being Brandon, continued to be reluctant. He wanted Dad to take over, but Dad refused. He admitted that he was no longer the young and strong alpha, so he continued to beg Brandon to take over. The Silver Moon Pack was slowly becoming a strong pack with lots of combat practice, and stricter rules and regulations. Those who were used to taking advantage of their authority in the pack soon learned not to cross Brandon and his Luna, Isabella Swan. I mean, Isabella Watson. Brandon was asked by Ricky to handle their training, and boy was he hard on them. Brandon proposed to Ella, a few months back, and they held a small wedding a month ago before the full moon, surrounded by our closest family and friends. Ricky made our room even bigger, and I swear if he tears down another wall, that room will be so big I might start getting lost in there. But the reason he made it bigger was to add his office inside. This way, he would be with the baby and me more. We added a small area for the baby, converting it into a nursery. He did more late-night trips to get crazy cravings for me, but it was mainly because he was getting weird cravings as well. I've been getting Braxton Hicks lately, so I know the baby is coming soon. My belly has been swelling bigger and bigger. 9 months pregnant, the day is here. I am finally ready to bring the babies into the world. I sat looking at the northern lights as I did every night. My contractions are minimal because Freya has been taking some of the pain, but she has been crying for the last few minutes, as the anxiety is getting to her. I could no longer take the pain from the constant contractions, and neither did Freya. Ricky. I think I need to go, I said, staring at the sky and placing my hand over his arm. You need to go pee again, baby, he says, making me chuckle. No. I think my water just broke. The baby is coming. I say as I feel the water wetting my clothes. He looks down to the floor from the chairs we sat in utter terror. His eyes are big like saucers and his face pales. Oh! Oh, what do I do? Do I get your bag? Or, your blanket? Let me get your blanket, he says as he shoots up from his seat and panics, making me laugh. I grunt, feeling another contraction, making me hold my side. Shut! Zane, he yells, making me burst out laughing. Ricky, just take me to the infirmary, I say, through my pain and laughter. Yeah, I'll do that, he says as he quickly lifts me and dashes out, making bystanders look at us worriedly. It's coming, it's coming. My pup is coming. Out of the way, he yells as he sprints off toward the pack hospital, making me laugh as I hold on for dear life. Ricky carried me bridal style, rushing me to the infirmary and placing me in a room as the pack doctors prepared to aid me. One by one, the pack members surrounded a big field, holding hands as they waited and prayed to the moon goddess for our new baby. They sent blessings and prayers through our mind link. And if it wasn't for Freya and Ricky crying, I would be answering with a big thank you back. I pushed and held onto Ricky's hand tightly until I finally gave one last push. I gasped at the sound of a tiny cry, unable to hold back my tears as I saw the doctor hold the tiny baby up. I had never felt my heart so overjoyed as I do now. Don't get me wrong, meeting Ricky, marrying him, and finding my brother and dad were memorable, but today begins a new journey. It was a memorable day that filled me with tears of joy. Ricky looked at the baby in shock, seeing how tiny he was, but then I felt a big pressure again, and I knew what was coming, my surprise to Ricky. I pushed again without warning, and the nurse aiding me rushed to her side, holding her hands out and catching another baby boy in her arms. The nurse gasped in shock, looking at me with tears in her eyes. It's another boy. There, we have twins, she says, holding the baby tightly and looking at everyone in the room with a big smile as the tears rolled down her cheeks. But only the doctor and I knew the truth. She smiled, winking at me as she handed the baby to her assistant doctor and nodded at me. When you're ready, doll, she says, making me take a deep breath as I get ready for the cue. Twins? Ricky says in shock as he looks at the doctor and then at me. Triplets? I say innocently, smiling at Ricky as my tears stain my rosy cheeks. I felt it, my third baby was ready and I tightened my grip on the sheets as I looked at the doctor and she nodded. I push again, and on the third try, I hear the doctor. Push, I see the head. You can do it, Luna, she says, as I grunt. I took in a deep breath, lifted myself a little, and pushed. And there it was, a tiny cry as the doctor began to cry, grabbing my baby in her arms and nestling my baby. It's a girl. Ricky lifts his hands, running his fingers through his hair as he cries happily. I'm a dad, too. Triplets, he yells happily, sending out a mind link to the pack. They all erupt and cheer, hugging and crying at each other as the word spreads. I could hear the cries and cheers from my window, making me cry with happiness. The full moon shines brightly down on us, amongst the northern lights, illuminating this memorable evening. Ricky looks pale, ready to faint any second, but he recovers, looking at me with wide eyes and crying. "Awesome job, Mrs. Donnelly! You accomplished amazing, sweetheart! I'm so proud of you!" Ricky says, unable to hold back his tears as the doctor holds out the scissors for him. With a shaky hand, he holds the scissors up and cuts the umbilical cord from both baby boys, and chuckles as he sees our tiny little princess. She is slightly smaller than the boys, and has dark hair like his, with the same deep blue eyes. "My goddess! You boys are perfect! And look at my little princess! Welcome to the world, my beautiful pups," he says as he cups their tiny heads, kissing them on the top of their heads. The nurses take them, clean them up properly and bring them back to me. I'm a very tired mom but eager to hold my new babies. I can't help but cry as I take each of my boys in my hands, holding them tightly against me. Ricky holds our princess as he looks at her through tears and sits, placing his head softly over her as he cries. They are so tiny, so fragile, so perfect. And I can't wait for everyone to meet them. Livy, a few days later, be careful. Hold her head carefully. Oh, Ricky! I whispered as I gave my sleeping little princess, Brielle, back to Ricky. I had just finished feeding her, and she had fallen fast asleep. Out of all three of my pups, she was the tiniest one, but she was so strong. All three were picking up their heads and moving so much just hours after birth. They keep surprising me with how fast and strong they're growing, and it's only been a few days. We decided on the name, Alexander, which means defender of men, for our first little man. Xavier, the savior for our other little man, and last but equally important, Brielle, our strength and heroine for our little princess. I got her! I got her! Ricky whispers, taking her in his arms with such care. He had been away for 2 days, and just 3 days after I gave birth, he had to leave, making me feel uneasy. I've missed him so much. It was as if the three could feel his absence, becoming uneasy and crying so much when he was not here. They eat like crazy, and they sleep so much but are equally active when awake. They are getting stronger and stronger by the day, just like Daddy. Ricky kisses Brie on her head, rocking her slowly as he sits on the rocking chair. I miss you so much, my little princess. Did you miss Daddy? Yes, you did. Didn't you? He sighs, kissing her head and placing his forehead against her head softly. I got up and checked on the boys. They were sound asleep, hugging each other. They were finally calm now that they could sense that Ricky was back. So, your dad is really left, hey? I asked Ricky, making him look at me before signing. Yeah. He's really gone. He promised he'd come to visit, he adds, making me feel a pang in my heart. My father-in-law had announced a day after the babies were born that he was moving back to Italy. Several problems were happening out there, and the king had asked him and 2 other retired alphas to step up and help him regain order. His old pack's territory was being challenged by an alpha who was too power-hungry for his own good. The last we wanted was for another Hector or Noah to take over those lands. Does he really have to leave for good? He'll be back, right? Why can't the king ask someone else? I asked, getting teary-eyed. Ricky purses his eyebrows, feeling a bit saddened about his dad leaving too. I know, baby. I wish he didn't have to, but you know his thoughts. If you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. I finished his sentence, making him smile. I came to stand in front of Ricky and my princess. I kneeled, cupping her tiny head and kissing her forehead. Right, he says, sounding a bit unsure. I'm sure everything will get sorted out. We can always go visit too, he suggested, making me sigh, missing my father-in-law. We spent the rest of our day together, trying to enjoy our 3 beautiful babies and not caring about the world, at least today. Life could not be any better for us. I felt complete, safe, and so at home with him and my babies. Sure, we had our days when we disagreed and argued, but at the end of the day, he was still my Ricky. My husband who I love and would do anything for. And now, we have 3 beautiful babies that we call family, our family. 7 years later, Mom. Mommy. I hear my daughter yelling for me, making me peek my head out the fridge door as I try to look for the ingredients I need to finish tonight's dinner. Right here, baby. What's wrong? I ask, seeing her face tinted with anger. Lori is being rude to me again. And Elijah broke my doll. I told you I didn't want to play outside. Can I please go back to my room? Please, she begs, making me purse my eyebrows worriedly. Lori is the daughter of one of our members. She's a year older than Bree, and she likes to mess with her because my little Bree is a little smaller than kids her age. But she's so smart and has such a noble heart. I think Lori takes advantage of that, making her feel belittled. On the other hand, Elijah, he's Margot and Zane's oldest. Just a year after my babies were born, Ricky was called out to help a pack that was under attack. Everyone in Elijah's pack died, unfortunately. Only a few kids and Omega were left. Zane and Margot instantly fell in love with Elijah and they brought him back, adopting him just months later. Elijah has had it hard to fit in with the rest of the kids but loves spending time with my boys. He protects them as if he were the oldest brother. He's 2.5 years older than my boys, so they look up to him as if he were part of the family. Oh, baby! I'm sure Eli didn't mean to. I say, holding my hands out and allowing her to embrace me. She nestles her little head in my waist, hugging me tightly. Bree, a little voice says, making us turn. Eli stood by the kitchen door, his little head low as he held his hands behind his back. Go away, Eli. I'm mad at you, she says, making me smile but feeling her pain. Bree, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It was an accident, he says, wiping his little tear away. He brings out a dandelion, holding it out for my princess and making her hug me tighter. I will fix your doll, I promise. Don't be mad at me, he says, wiping his little nose, trying to fight back more tears. Okay. But you have to be careful. My grandpa gave her to me from Italy. Please, Eli, don't break her again, she says, unpacking her little hands and taking the flower from him. I promise. I'm sorry, Bree, he says, hugging her and kissing the top of her head. I have a feeling, a big strong feeling that he will be my daughter's mate. I could be wrong, but maybe, just maybe. I might be right. I kiss both on their heads, allowing them to take Z freshly baked cookies and let them go on their way. My little Bree decides she wants to go see Daddy instead, and so we do. I take her in my arms and go to his office. I knock on the door and he responds quickly, "Come in," he says. I open and he greets us with a big smile as he sits with Hunter and his wife, holding their new baby in her arms. "Hi, Daddy." "Hi, Princess. Look who's here." "It's Uncle Hunter and Auntie Luna." Bree yells, running to Hunter's mate and hugging her. "Hi, Bree. My goddess, you're so big," she says, looking at Bree with a big smile and kissing her cheek as she places her on her lap. Everyone has been keeping busy, and we haven't seen each other as much as before, but when we do, it's such a good feeling. Hunter has become like another brother to me and another uncle to my babies as much as Brandon. Little by little, we have all become stronger, as a pack, as a family, and as a person. The Omega that once thought she would die in the hands of a ruthless visiting Alpha, is now madly in love with him. Yes, I love my Ricky, I love my pack, I love my family, and I would do anything for them, anything. As far as AA is concerned, there is no better place that I would rather be, than in this pack, surrounded by the people I love and cherish. The end. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.